Emily was walking through town when her eyes widened in disbelief. Right before her, a missing person poster was a photograph of her younger self. She blinked several times, convinced that she must be mistaken. How could she be listed as missing? She was standing right there with trembling hands. Her heart raced as she read the accompanying text. But before we start, smash the like button, subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so you never miss any of our upcoming stories. Emily had only recently come back from her trip overseas. Though she had loved her time there, she had missed her time away from family and friends. She had made sure to keep in daily contact with them while she was away. The weather was now still great, but she also knew that the time of good weather would soon shift. It made her appreciate the small things, like going outside for a stroll and so much more. She never could have guessed how much everything would take a turn. Emily had been walking around rather aimlessly, just enjoying the scenery. She was never someone who would look at flyers, but she remembered that as she looked around and her eyes fell on a picture that resembled her own face, she had physically blanched. Who had orchestrated that? Was this some weird joke? She ripped the paper off the board that it had been nailed to. Emily Jameson, missing person, it said in big, bold letters. She had to get to the bottom of this. She studied the photo they had used and quickly concluded that it was an older picture of her. This one definitely dates back a few years. She had only just returned from her trip. Maybe one of her friends or family would know more about it? They could possibly confirm if those missing person posters had been hanging around for a longer period of time, or if they had only recently started to appear around town. She needed to ensure that his one poster was one of many or simply an anomaly. Like her father once said, one is a fluke, and more is fate. As she was walking around and actively searching for the posters with her face on them, she soon found that, unfortunately, that one poster hadn't been a fluke. After finding the one, she only had to look around for a bit to find a second, and later a third, and even a fourth. Emily knew what she had to do. She wouldn't go to people, depending on who she had thought had organized this silly prank, but people who would actually be able to find out who had done it. It wasn't a long walk before she arrived, but during her walk, she had made sure to look out for more posters, and had found a fifth one. Filled with anticipation and nerves, she knocked on a door. She really needed help with this. After knocking, she didn't have to wait too long on the porch. She had totally forgotten to give Heather a heads up that she was coming. She yanked it open, being frozen after all the barriers were gone and engulfing Emily in a big hug. Though Emily was grateful for Heather's response, with the papers in her bag, she couldn't help but wonder if there was more to it than she had originally thought. "Oh my God," Heather exclaimed as the two hugged each other. "I cannot believe you are back. I missed you so much, Em," she said as she was practically jumping with excitement. Emily smiled at her as the two looked at each other. "I missed you too, Heather. The best part about coming back from a trip is seeing you again," she said, and she meant it wholeheartedly. "However, I haven't just come here to talk about my trip," she paused, trying to think of a way to tell this crazy thing that had happened this morning. As Emily tried to explain, she could see the increase of worry in her eyes. "There are posters of me all around town," Emily continued, reaching for her bag to show her best friend. Heather scanned the poster, and her eyebrows raised in confusion. From the look on her face, Emily knew she hadn't yet come across these. "I haven't seen these before, but I believe you. This is like super weird. We have to get to the bottom of this." At the local cafe, Emily met with her closest friends. As she unfolded the posters, their expressions shifted from curiosity to shock. "This makes no sense," Mark said, shaking his head. Sarah, equally stunned, added, "You were sending us photos and messages from your trip. How could you be missing?" Their disbelief was palpable, confirming Emily's suspicion that the posters were not a prank orchestrated by her inner circle. Later, Emily convened a larger group of acquaintances and extended family members, hoping someone might have a clue. The day ended with Emily feeling a mix of gratitude and frustration. Her loved ones, equally mystified, could offer no answers, but their shared bewilderment somehow brought them closer. As she lay in bed that night, Emily's mind raced with questions. The next morning, Emily visited the local police station, seeking clarification. The officer on duty, after checking their records, looked up in surprise. "You were reported missing 3 weeks into your trip," he informed her. Emily's heart skipped a beat. "But I was in constant contact with everyone," she protested. On her way home, Emily's mind raced. How could she have been officially missing? She remembered sending regular updates to her family, her friends, even to her workplace. The contradiction was maddening. At home, Emily pored over her phone, scrolling through months of messages and emails. Each one was a testament to her active communication during her travels. The next day would be one of digging deeper, of chasing down every lead, no matter how small. As she drifted into a restless sleep, her resolve hardened. She would uncover the truth behind the bizarre and unsettling enigma of the missing person posters. Emily's fingers trembled as she dialed the number from the poster. After 2 rings, a voice answered, hesitant, shaky. "Hello?" it whispered. Emily introduced herself, and the voice faltered, a hint of fear palpable. "Who is this?" Emily asked, but before she could get more, the line went dead. In the quiet of her room, Emily pondered over the call. The voice was unfamiliar, tinged with an emotion she couldn't quite place. Fear? Guilt? The next day, Emily met Heather at a small cafe. Over coffee, she relayed the details of the mysterious call. Heather listened intently, her brow furrowed. "This is getting weirder by the minute," Heather said, echoing Emily's thoughts. As they left the cafe, Emily and Heather's resolve hardened. "We need to find out who's behind this," Emily declared, determination in her voice. With a folder of evidence in hand, Emily and Heather approached the police station. Inside, they were met with a mix of curiosity and concern as they explained their situation. The officers listened, their expressions turning from skepticism to intrigue. The story of the mysterious posters and the disconnected call piqued their interest, prompting them to take the case more seriously. An officer confirmed Emily's status as a missing person, noting the oddity of the situation. "No family report, yet you're listed as missing." Emily, confused by the official recognition of her missing status while being physically present, felt the surreal nature of her predicament. The officers assured her and Heather they would investigate the phone number and the origin of the posters, acknowledging the uniqueness of the case. As they left the police station, Emily felt both hope and anxiety, knowing the investigation had started but the waiting would be torturous. Heather tried to reassure her, "We're closer than before." Days later, Emily received a cryptic email from an unknown sender, filled with unsettling references to her past, including places and events only she would know. The tone was eerie and taunting, suggesting the sender had intimate knowledge of her life. With the help of her friend Heather, Emily planned to explore her past by revisiting familiar places, speaking to childhood acquaintances, and seeking connections. Emily and Heather stumbled upon hidden camera footage showing a woman who looked almost identical to Emily. Scrutinizing the footage, they identified key locations, including a park from Emily's childhood and a cafe she had never visited. Each frame deepened the puzzle, raising questions about the impersonator's identity and connection to Emily. Determined to uncover the truth, Emily and Heather mapped out the locations and decided to visit a remote town prominently featured in the footage. Though Emily had never been there, the town seemed central to the life of her mysterious double. Arriving in the quaint and unfamiliar town, they began their search for answers, speaking with locals and investigating the places shown in the footage. Emily hoped this journey would finally unravel the enigma surrounding her life. At a local library, they discovered records of a girl identical to Emily but living a separate life. The documents revealed a parallel existence, different schools, homes, and friends connected only by their shared appearance. Armed with this evidence, Emily confronted her parents, leading to an emotional revelation. She had a twin sister, Emma, separated from her at birth under mysterious circumstances. This life-altering truth reshaped Emily's identity and her understanding of her past. Driven by hope and determination, Emily began searching for Emma. After a relentless journey, Emily found Emma, and their meeting was filled with profound emotion, joy, and connection. Standing face to face, they began a new chapter, united as two halves made whole. In a quiet cafe, Emma revealed her heartbreaking truth. She had created the missing person posters as a desperate attempt to connect with the family she had never known. Her confession illuminated the mystery that had brought the sisters together. As they shared their stories, Emily and Emma unraveled the details of their separate lives and the deception that had kept them apart. Each discovery deepened their understanding of one another and the forces that had shaped their destinies. The sisters embraced their newfound bond, determined to rebuild their relationship and face their shared history together. It was a new beginning, a chance to explore life united by blood and strengthened by an unbreakable familial connection. Thank you for watching. If you like this story, don't forget to hit the like button, subscription, and ring the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming stories.